Why is anti-Zionism?
Anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. I'm a Semite. I'm a Semite.
I know, but he's got.
Arabs are Semites, so it's bullshit.
And you're not. I hear you, but
What's a Zionist?
Arabs are Semites.
What is a Zionist?
Let him make his point.
Israel.
Exactly.
That supports Israel. That's it. Anyone who supports Israel.
Of course.
I agree with you. I agree. That's the definition. That's most of the people who support a two-state solution. Most people who want to see a Palestinian state alongside Israel are Zionists.
But look what you've been doing now. They've been taking kids.
He hasn't been doing
to prison.
anything. He's British.
I've been talking here.
But he supports them. He supports Zionists.
I'm a
So does
Zionist.
the British government. The British government supports a two-state
British
solution.
people are Zionists.
No.
I
We
support
recognise-
Palestinians.
But do you
What?
agree
What?
what they've been doing lately?
What have they been doing?
Taking women.
42,000 dead in Afghanistan. 42, 100.
Forget about Afghanistan.
100.
Why are you bringing Palestine
Listen,
to
you
justify
learn.
your
You learn.
rubbish?
You'll learn if you
You're
listen.
murderers,
You'll
man.
learn. I'm a murderer.
No,
Look at you.
the people that you support. Do you support them? So
100%.
you're one of them.
Well, what about Hamas? Are they not killing anyone?
Listen, anyone that kills innocent people.
How many Palestinians?
Why do you
They
single
shoot
out
people,
Jews?
young kids.
Why do you
No,
single
No,
out
Jews.
Jews?
Don't keep saying Jews.
Why do you
Don't
single out
say
Jews?
Jews.
There's only one Jewish country in the
no,
world.
no,
There's
don't say
only
Jews.
one country where
There's a
Hebrew
load
is
of
the
Jews
national
against you.
language.
There's a load of Jews
How
against
many? How many?
There's a load of Jews
Yeah, so you
against
keep
you.
saying.
Come on.
Come on, 90% of British Jews see Israel as central to their identity. What are you talking about?
What's the percentage in that then? How many? What's the population?
What's the
But you say
That's
90%, what?
Quarter of a million Jews in the UK.
250.
Just over 250,000. Yeah. Yeah, there's not many of us.
The number
You
of
think
us
there was,
aren't
but
important.
from the level of animosity at this park alone, you'd think there were a lot of us, but there isn't. There's not many of us in Israel either.
You know,
Yet you
many
won't
of
let
you
us
around
have
the
one
world either.
country.
There's only about 15 million.
Exactly, so why
16
can't you leave
million
us
Jews.
alone?
We're not saying Jews, we're saying Zionists. Stop killing innocent kids.
42,000 Muslims
Stop
killed by
saying
Muslims in
42,000.
Afghanistan.
Equally denouncing Hamas for
42,000.
killing innocent
One for the camera, there's only 100 people being killed between Israelis and Palestinians in the last year. 100. And look how much they bar.
and the
They're getting
PLO.
shot in the head. That's what
by
I'm saying.
Hamas. Go and
Do you
look
understand?
at the videos of what Hamas did to PLO members. They tied their hands and they threw them off buildings.
They dragged them on the back of
When Hamas
motorbikes.
came to power within the last 10 years. And why did they
haven't
do
seen
that?
that.
Because the
Okay,
Palestinians
fine. I haven't
So
were
how come you've only
homosexuals.
seen what the Jews do?
Because that's what I see in the news.
Ah, so here we get to the truth. You
truth?
only see what the
truth
Jews
that
do.
you're shooting people,
Hundreds of
young
thousands
kids,
of hundreds
and
of thousands
women.
of Muslims. Listen,
And
listen,
you're
listen.
taking their land, ripping off trees.
My brother,
Olive trees,
my
orange
brother,
trees.
you're crying about trees.
causing-
42,000 dead in Afghanistan
mate.
alone. Where's your tears? Where's your tears when Muslims kill Muslims?
What do you mean Muslims kill Muslims? They
Hundreds-
live in the same country. They're the same
Hundreds.
people.
Ah, so
You're
the
an
Jews are
invader.
different. The
You're
Jews
an
can't live
invader.
here. Jews have no place in the Middle
You're an
East.
invader.
Jews are invaders.
No,
Jews
you
are
are.
other.
No, Jews.
Jews are
Israel-
foreigners.
Zionists. You European white. Look at you. You're not Semitic. Arabs and Jews are cousins. They have same color, same
But I'm not
bloody
one of them.
features.
What
You're
am
a
I?
European.
I'm a
You're
European.
Polish,
And the
you're
people in
German.
Israel are European. And this is the
Well,
anti-Semitism.
if that's
King
the case, why did
David
the Arabs keep,
was a
keep
ginger.
attacking Israel then? If your
King
brothers
David,
and sisters?
Dawood
No,
was
no,
a
no.
Why did the Arabs
ginger.
keep attacking Israel?
Before the Zionists came in the 1900s, they used to live all in harmony.
Really?
And this is
Really?
Jews. Yes, this
Under
is
the
the
church.
Jews.
Under the
15
church.
Saying it themselves.
Here's some
Yeah,
facts,
and the
Habibi.
church
Habibi,
didn't
Habibi,
understand.
Habibi. Here's
I'm
some
not an
facts.
Arab, by the way.
Doesn't
I'm not
matter.
an Arab.
Listen, listen.
The
But I
Arabs
do speak Arabic very
1517,
well.
From under the
Muslims
nose.
slaughtered Jews.
Tell him,
1517,
son.
1517, Muslims slaughtered Jews in Hebron. 1517, Muslims slaughtered Jews in
Oh, Jews.
Safed.
No, 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 no.
1929.
Tell me. Didn't do nothing.
In Andalusia,
The
when-
beautiful
yes,
Al-Andalus,
yes,
the
hold on,
one
hold on.
point.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Andalusia, where the Muslims were the minority.
Hold on. Andalusia.
Where the
Where
Muslims
did
were the
Jews
minority.
went? Hold on a minute.
Where?
When the Jew, when
In Andalusia.
in the time
They
of
were a
Spanish
minority.
Influence. Can I
They had
finish?
to negotiate
Can I-
with the
can I have a
majority
word?
You're getting your dates
population.
mixed up.
Can I have a
They
word?
they
called
did.
them to come
In
in.
Andalusia, in the Spanish
They called them to
Inquisition,
come in.
You're
when
getting
the
your
Jews were
dates
to
mixed
leave,
up.
when the Jews was asked to leave,
Why
when
are you
they-
asking?
You're getting your dates
no,
mixed
no.
up.
I'm asking you a question.
So I'm explaining your
No,
question. You've got your
I'm
history
asking a
wrong.
question.
You've got your
when the
Al-Andalus.
Jews was
the Jew-
driven out, no, you don't even.
Listen,
are you
I'm
listening
going
to
to
me?
respond to your
Are you
question.
listening to
Yes.
me? Let me ask
Okay,
you a
and then I'll
question,
speak.
clear and people. when the Jews were asked to leave Andalusia, where did they go?
Okay, now to respond. The Jews weren't asked to leave Al-Andalusia.
Yeah.
The Jews were already in Al-Andalus, and when the Muslims came over, it were the Jews that opened the gates of Toledo. You're confusing the Ottomans. The Jews fled the Inquisition to the Ottomans.
Your historians are saying that the Jews went to Morocco,
said that,
they went to Turkey, they went to Algeria, they went to Tunisia, they lived amongst Arabs, and they were happy
Yeah, they went to
living
North Africa.
amongst the Muslims.
They
in
weren't
Andalusia.
Arabs, they're
In
Berbers.
Andalusia.
Yes.
Berbers.
Berbers
Yes,
and
I
Arabs.
agree.
No, Berbers and Arabs are not
Yeah.
the same.
Colonized
In
Berbers.
North Africa, you have a Berber
Berbers
independent
and
Colonized
Berbers.
Berbers.
Right, they want their own
Colonized.
culture,
I'm a
their own
Berber.
Yeah, so what I mean by that is,
I admit that the Jews they used to live in Algeria before the Arabs came.
and then what happened to
That's
the Jews
number
in
one.
Algeria?
What happened because they decided with the French, the colonizers.
And then we kicked them out.
We
We
told them,
cut
yes,
their
we told
throats on
them
the
to
street.
fuck
We
off.
took their synagogues and
follow
turned them
your
into
masters.
masjids.
Follow your masters. That's what you did. You're ungrateful.
And this
You've
is
been
why
there for
Jews are
hundreds of
afraid.
years.
This is a guy screaming about kicking the Jews out of Algeria,
Look what you did.
slaughtering them on
yes,
the street,
what they did.
taking
They were
their
traitors.
synagogues and turning
They
them
were
into
traitors
mosques.
after we've taken them in North Africa for centuries.
So they were
And
traitors.
that's how you reward
Were
us.
they taken to court?
You should be shameful. You should be shameful.
You're
I'm
the
a
one.
Berber, I'm a
You
North African.
kicked all the Jews
I
out of your
admit it.
country, and you're
I
telling me
admit
I
it.
should be ashamed?
Yes.
It's called
because we were
ethnic
traitors.
cleansing.
No, you're a
Ethnic
traitor.
cleansing. This
You're
guy is
traitors.
This guy is getting happy
You're
about
traitors.
ethnic cleansing.
We took you in for
Ethnic
hundreds
cleansing.
All
of
Jews are
thousands of
traitors.
years. There were like
What do you mean you
500
took 'em
people.
in?
Yes,
What do
they
you
came
mean you
into
took 'em in?
North Africa. There's no
took 'em in.
Semitic, are they?
They're not
Are they?
anti-Semitic. They just cleansed
Are
the
they?
country of their Jews.
No.
But they're not
You
anti-Semitic.
were traitors, so you
The
followed your
Jews,
masters.
those Jews were traitors.
You followed your white
we
masters.
like the good Jews
like
in
you.
Stamford Hill.
You followed your masters like you. That's what you did. You betrayed us. You betrayed us.
It
We
was a
took you in.
race thing.
This is
Ask North
hardcore
Africans.
Islamic racism.
The Berbers.
He's
That's not-
advertising
listen,
the
this
cleansing
guy's one known
of
for
Jews
racism.
from a country,
You make up stories
and
as
he's
you go
happy
along.
about it.
You're
He's
just a
happy about
Zionist
it.
and you hate people. That's what I tell you. You understand?
Well, I
We've
think
taken
that- I
you
think
in.
there's
God,
one
then
there's
you
no
bring
Jews
Jews
left in
You
Algeria.
come here and say,
You
oh,
also hate
ethnic
Jews.
Savagery, they
cleansing.
have to-
You're the savagery. You're the one who's killing children.
There's 20% of Israelis are Arab, my friend.
What's that?
We haven't cleansed anyone. 20% of
You
Israelis
have-
are
Yeah,
Arab.
that's for your own
there
benefit.
are zero.
That's for your own
zero
benefit.
Jews in
Really?
Algeria.
Yes.
They
You have
kicked
Arabs
them all
listen,
out.
look into
They
one.
slaughtered them in
Court.
the street.
That's
They
for your
took
own
their
benefit.
synagogues.
Otherwise, you're
They
going to
turned
look
them
better
into
than what
mosques.
you do now. That's what it is. You're going to look better than what you do now if you kill everybody.
I'm going to look bad. You're happy
No,
that you cleansed the Jews.
Zionist people that you support. So don't start mixing up things. Telling me ethnic cleansing.
Where were the
We
Jews?
took you in.
How many Jews
And
are
then
there
the
left in
French were
Algeria?
slaughtering us
How
like
many
What happened
Jews?
in
never
Egypt?
existed.
What happened to the Jewish
Do you
population in
understand?
Egypt?
I'm not Egyptian, asking Egyptian. I'm talking
All
about
right,
Algeria.
So you only know about
No,
one thing.
That's it. I know about my
All right,
country.
okay. You're an
I don't need to
And
know
he's
about
proud
Egypt
of his
or
country.
Ireland.
He's
Like the
proud.
Catholics
You
that were
didn't
killing
fly.
Jews.
You
But your
didn't
Jews
fly.
are killing Jews.
Yeah, they were
Raus!
what they did.
How many
Raus!
hundred years ago are you going?
Aha! So it has to be a number now. It has to be a year.
What's
They're
the
not-
difference?
it's
This
not
guy's
happening
talking.
today.
This guy's
It's not
talking
happening today.
1900.
It's not happening today. We're not
No,
killing
not-
Jews today.
Well, we're not killing Jews in
We're
Algeria
talking
today.
60 years
Do we?
ago.
Do we?
There's
Have
no
I-
you're only
Jews
talking
left
about
to kill.
Algeria.
Yes.
You kicked them
I
all out.
can't talk
You
about
killed
other
them all.
people.
Algeria.
I don't talk about other people. This country. I talk
you
what I
Algerians
know.
have been killing
each
I
other.
talk about what I know.
Then why are you
Muslim
talking about
killing Muslim in
Israel and
Algeria.
Palestine?
Because that's what we see. That's what we know is happening today.
Because there's Jews there.
Today. Not Jews. Israel.
Ah.
Zionist.
So the
No,
Jews.
this guy, see
any
how
Jew
clever
who
he is.
just-
As soon as he said anything about Zionists, you go, oh, Jews. No. Don't get your facts right.
How do you tell the difference between an
Fucking
Algerian
hell, man.
Zionist
How many times have you
and an
been telling
Algerian
you?
Jew?
We know the card that you play in the
How
park
many-
all the time.
how do you tell
We
the
say
difference?
Zionists, we're not saying Jews.
How
You're
do you
saying
tell-
Jews are liars, are they?
No. See, now you become like him now. I'm talking about Zionists, you're telling me Jews.
How
I
do you
defend him.
tell the difference between
right,
an
you're wrong.
Algerian Zionist and an Algerian
Arse
Jew?
licking, my friend.
How do you
You're
tell
too
the
tall.
difference?
Arse licking.
You should go down a bit
I'm
lower.
a Zionist. I defend
Go down a bit
international
lower
law.
because you're too high for his
You
backside.
Algerians
Go
should,
on.
you should tell people what happened in Algeria. You were slaughtering each other for 10 years, cutting
Yes,
each other's
and why
heads
is that?
off. And why is that?
Why is that?
Why is
You
that?
tell
Tell
us.
me why.
No, you tell me.
Probably
You
the last
mentioned
years
it.
in about
You
5
mentioned
years.
it. You
Muslim
mentioned it.
killing Muslim.
You mentioned it.
Muslim
Tell us
killing
why.
Muslim.
You tell us.
Muslim killing
You
Muslim.
mentioned it. Tell us. I'm
Muslim
not an
killing
educated.
Muslim.
I'd rather you
This war
remain
between
stupid.
Muslims.
So
Who
you tell us
financed
if you're
this war?
smart.
You'd rather he
Go
remain
on.
stupid.
Ask him.
Go on.
It's
I
the
know,
one
but I'm
promoting
not telling you.
genocide.
Excuse me, who financed
What
this war
genocide?
between
The
Muslims?
genocide, the
Why?
ethnic
Why has
cleansing
the
of
finance
Muslims.
got to do
The
anything
Jews
with
of
it?
Algeria.
Where?
There's none left.
No,
What do you mean
no,
none left? They
no,
followed
no,
the
no,
French.
no,
They followed the master.
Tell
They
me.
were kicked out. They were
Why?
slaughtered.
Why?
So that
Because
means
there's
they're all
racist
blaming
There is
Algerians.
no.
Another
Listen,
Muslim
how
in
comes
Syria
they were
because
there
they're
living for
Why-
hundreds of thousands of years? They were there, listen,
Go on,
500
read.
before
Go and read your
AD.
Quran.
All right?
What?
The Jews.
What happens
How
to
come
a
they were
Muslim?
still
What
living
happens
in
to a
harmony
Muslim
with the
if
they were
Berbers?
massacred?
All of a sudden, when the French came, 1830,
Really?
they turned on us. You followed your master. That's why you followed into France.
Our master.
Yes. And now in France, you got all the lobbies.
Who's our master?
Again, you're getting off
French.
the subject. You're getting off the subject. You
So
want
the
to accept
Jews
the
now are
fact
following
that
the
the
French
Algerian
master.
Look what you're doing in France.
What are we
Do
doing?
you know?
in
Are you
France?
going to deny it? Should we pull
Thousands
over
of
and
people
put
were
it
killed
in?
What are we
by
doing?
other
Shall I bring you
Algerians.
evidence?
You're a racist. I don't
I'm a
know.
racist. How can I be racist?
Listen to how you're ranting at
They were
Jews.
not Muslims.
You're not a Jew. You're a Zionist.
They were supporting
You're not a Jew.
Then why do you
Get
keep
it,
saying
get it
you
right. Get it right.
Then why do you keep saying you to me?
Because you're a Zionist. You support
So what
Israel.
were the people in Algeria? Were they Zionists or were they Jews?
They were Jews.
But the Jews here are Zionists. And
They were Jews, my friend.
okay, and you slaughtered them on the
No,
street.
we did not slaughter them. They followed their masters. We slaughtered even the French because they were killing them.
Slaughtered the
How
French
many
and the
people?
Jews.
Hold on. How many Algerians died from 54 to 62?
You tell me.
Tell me.
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know.
But I know how many Jews were killed.
Is it 1.5 million?
No.
Algerians got killed 1.5 million in 7 years.
In a
And
war that the
forget-
Algerians were fighting, why were they killing
Forget,
Jews?
because
Why
you're
kill
supporting
Jews?
your fucking French bastards.
So according to this, Muslims
These idiots.
Muslims are responsible for all
I'm telling you,
atrocities.
he doesn't understand.
Right.
You never know how many French killed within 7 years.
Never.
1.5 million.
Yes.
And we're not talking from 1830.
Under the FLN,
Do you
under the
understand?
War of
No, it's
Liberation.
not. No,
Yes,
it's
under
not.
the
No,
FLN.
it's not.
What
No,
about-
it's not. We say the French. And forget the ones that before.
50
They've been
million in the
bloody.
First World War.
Who led the Algerian?
What about
Who led
50 million?
Who led
Most
the Algerian
atrocities-
liberation
Algerians,
movement?
Most
listen.
atrocities in this
Algerians,
world
North
happened
Af-
in Europe.
North Africans
First World
saved your
War,
ass
50
from
million.
the Germans.
50 million.
You know that
Second
one,
World
don't you?
War. Tens
First
of
World War,
millions.
Second World War.
So Muslims are not responsible for Hiroshima.
How many Algerians died in the
Muslims-
First World War?
Muslims are not responsible for Hiroshima.
think he means
Muslims
the
are not
Nazis,
responsible
not
for
the
First
Germans,
World War, which have seen the most atrocities that happen in the world. 50 million.
So I would agree.
Second World War. How many? How many? Does anybody have figures?
More.
Second World War.
Second World War is more than the
About
first one.
20, 30? No, less than the first one. Second World War.
But I think it's really good that Algeria has
Second World War.
adopted a Western political system, a republic.
We've always been
No,
a
but
republic.
I want to hear you news
We've
about.
always been a republic since
listen,
62.
Listen, one second.
No.
I want to hear
The
this
Algerian
man's position.
political system
I
is
wa-
called the Republic of
I-
Algeria.
democratic.
Right.
I
And
want
that's
to
a
hear.
Western political.
Listen, I want to hear your
demons.
I want to hear your opinion about the crimes Israel's committed against
So the
Palestinians.
brother was making a
No,
good point
hold
before.
on, please, hold on.
Why do you want to hear from me?
Yeah.
Because you were getting involved.
because
Backing
you're
you
talking
up.
about
Now
only
we're
one
asking
side.
you.
You're talking about. I know you from years.
Oh, really?
Okay, at least be fair.
So-
Speak about the atrocities that are happening. That Israel is committing against crimes against humanity. I've never
Are you
heard
going to shut up?
I've never
Are
heard
gonna
you
shut
speaking
up?
about. Yes.
Yeah, well, you haven't been around long enough.
No,
You've been
no.
away promoting olive oil.
I've
or
argued with
running
him many
in-
times,
Used to
so
run
it's
in
not
a
honest.
cafe
Yes,
which
thank
went out of
God,
business.
thank
I
God,
know
thank
all
God
about
for
it.
that. Yes,
Right,
yes.
right,
Thank God
right.
for
Haven't
that,
seen
yes.
you for about 15 years.
Yes,
I am
yes.
even-handed in my criticism of
I want to
Hamas,
listen to you. Yes.
PLO,
Yeah.
and the unfortunate government of
I want to hear it now.
Netanyahu.
Yes, I want to hear it
Okay?
now. Go on, yeah, go on. Atrocities.
But I don't need to prove
what
anything
is
to you.
You see?
Hang around and you
No,
might
no,
hear
no,
me.
no, no,
Can
no,
I
no.
make a point?
Now you're I know
now
you.
I've got to prove to
You're
him I'm
a
okay.
hypocrite. You are a hypocrite.
No,
I
you're-
know you for years.
So let's explore
Yeah, go on,
hypocrisy.
go on.
Let's explore hypocrisy. He made a very interesting point about hypocrisy. So let's actually look at some real numbers. He started by saying most of the major wars in the last 150, 200 years
Absolutely.
were fought by Europeans. He's bang on the money. Most of the major catastrophes involve Western powers and Russia. And there was a lot of
And
people
who killed
killed
6
in
million
China.
Jews?
I'm
Muslims?
responding.
Muslims? Muslims?
No.
Exactly. Thank you.
not.
Now,
Thank
now
you.
let's.
So what do you-
But now
No,
let's
no,
fast.
let him speak.
So,
No,
so
you're
now let's
finished.
fast forward. Now let's
wanna hear
fast
from him.
forward. Now let's fast
There were
forward.
Muslims
No,
involved.
no, I want to
There
hear
were
him.
Muslims involved.
Hold on a minute.
There were
Let
Bosnian
him finish.
SS
Let him
regiments.
finish,
There
man.
were Muslims
Ah,
involved.
now when you hear the truth.
There were Muslims involved
See,
in
when
the
these people hear
Holocaust.
that, most atrocities happen in
Muslims
Europe.
didn't
Okay,
die.
while
Bosnian,
these
No,
there were
no,
Bosnian
no, no,
Muslim
no, no,
divisions.
no,
Muslim
that's
people
okay.
die.
The
now,
Mufti
are
of
you willing-
Jerusalem,
are you
the
willing-
Mufti of
Hold
Jerusalem
on a
was
minute.
pro-Nazi.
Hiroshima, or the Muslims are.
So-
Where did the Mufti of
He made a
Jerusalem
very
die?
good point. And what
He
most
didn't
Muslims
die in
died in the
Let
Jerusalem.
him
First
finish.
World
This
War.
is a
He
very
died
important
in
point.
Germany.
What most-
Let the gentleman answer, please,
What
because the
most-
guy's recording. It's a YouTube channel.
What-
Let him make
That's
money.
not- that's not-
Let him make
Don't
money.
worry
Let the
about the
man make
Greeks.
Al
money.
Jazeera.
They're
Yeah,
coming
let
for
him
us
make
all.
money.
So what most Muslims in the park do...
And by the way, he's had to torture 2 squirrels.
Excuse me,
Al
please.
Jazeera Cyprus.
Have some manners. Let them.
So what most Muslims in the park do,
Cypriot Jazeera.
they pick
Well,
bad points
Jazeera is an
from
island.
Western
So
history
Cyprus is a
and
Jazeera.
good points from Islamic history. And you're right, Al-Andalus was very good for minorities. Jews and Christians fared well under Al-Andalus. That was a truthful statement. But if a Westerner were to do the same and cherry pick only the good and ignore the bad, listen. It paints a very dishonest picture. So what I will say, and I'll go on record and I will state, the majority of people killed in violence in this world today are Muslims, and they're not killed by Westerners. The majority of Muslims that are slaughtered today are by other Muslims. So if we want
how many children were killed in the Iraq War? How many? Madeleine Albright, 600,000 kids, and that was the price. Well worth paying. You remember that? Remember that?
Here's another Algerian here.
I agree with you.
Here's another
Well
Algerian
worth
here.
paying. Who remembers this?
Topic.
Who remembers
This is a problem.
Do you remember
You
it?
make a statement.
The price well worth paying.
About Algeria.
Yes.
He's
Go
here
on.
now. You can argue about
Go on.
Algeria.
Yeah, go on. Go on.
Are you prepared to listen, or are you just going to bark me
No,
down?
yeah, go on.
So I will agree with you
Thank you.
that in Iraq, Western forces were involved.
Yes.
There were also many Muslim forces involved
Yeah,
as well.
it's wrong.
It was a sectarian
That's wrong.
violence.
It's wrong.
And so what I'm saying today,
Yeah.
this year,
So you're a
Forget
pacifist.
Hold on, hold
You're a
on.
pacifist. You're against all war, are you?
forget,
on a minute,
forget
hold on.
going back to the First and Second Iraq War. If we look at conflict today, most people that are killed in conflict today in this world are Muslim. Most of them are civilians. Most of them are killed by other Muslims. I'll give you a really interesting fact. Most people don't know this. During the Syrian war, there's a place called Yarmouk, which has the largest Palestinian community in Syria. They were ethnically cleansed. Thousands and thousands of them were slaughtered. There were no protests on the street. There were no vigils for them. Why? Because there were no Jews involved. The Muslim world beats on its chest whenever it goes to war with the West. Whenever Israel and the Palestinians clash, the Muslim world unifies and stands as a united front against whichever force is attacking them. But when Muslims
You're wrong.
slaughter Muslims,
You're not wrong.
there's no unity, there's no outcry.
Okay.
I'm not wrong.
Let me tell you,
They
Daesh.
name
Who
one-
supported Daesh? Who created
Qatar.
Taliban?
Qatar
Who created
support-
Taliban?
And this is the other thing.
Who created
So
Taliban?
I get that.
Who created terrorism?
The Pakistan
Terrorist groups. Who's
intelligence
behind it?
services.
So I'll tell you.
Go back to
The
go back.
Pakistan
Are you willing to
intelligence
do you want to listen to an
No,
answer?
I'm
you ask a
saying.
question and then I can answer
Yeah,
it.
go on.
So one of the things they also do,
Daesh.
You know the film Go with
Daesh,
the Wind?
Daesh.
Taliban,
Yes.
Al
Go with the
Qaeda,
Yes, yes.
all of these
Yes.
groups.
Afghanistan.
Instead of
Go with the
saying
wind. The
war.
Hamas,
Who financed? No, who
Anything
financed the
asking you a
Mujahideen?
question. Let me answer.
And one more.
Let me
Who
answer.
financed the Mujahideen to fight the
Okay,
Soviet?
perfect.
Soviet
I just
Union?
did mention that. I mentioned the
Oh,
Taliban
thank
and
you.
Al Qaeda. So,
And then you realize.
so this is my point. He's laughing, and I just want to
No,
show the
no, no,
stupidity.
it's-
I
we
want to
know
show
who's
the stupidity
financing.
in his own.
Yeah, it was during the
So
Cold
no.
War. It was anti-Soviet, yes?
Let him finish.
Right. Now, would you have supported the
Let him finish,
Mujahideen
please.
against
No,
the
we are.
communists?
Excuse me, we're on
Would
YouTube.
you-
We are not
No,
invited.
no,
We
you're
are on
the
YouTube.
hypocrite.
The
You're the
biggest-
hypocrite. You're now speaking up for the
biggest
Soviet
problem
forces who were
that
killing
plagues the
Muslims.
left in
Hold
the
on, hold on,
UK
hold on.
and the Middle East is the lack of accountability. You are absolutely right. I'll give an example I know very closely. Hamas in Gaza. Many people will come to me and say, Israel created Hamas. No, Sheikh Yassin of the Muslim Brotherhood created Hamas. And what then happens... So, no, not because it's more complicated than that. But it's the same with Al Qaeda. It's the same with all of these groups. Muslims create forces, and then Western and not just Western Arabs. So Qatar will back some, Iran, not Arabs, but Muslim will back others, and you get proxy wars.
Who's backed
Because
Al Qaeda?
can I just finish my point, please? You keep shouting.
Talk about
shouting,
Qatar,
he was asking you
Qatar,
questions.
Saudi Arabia.
One
What about other terrorist groups? Mujahideen. Who
this is my
financed the war
This is-
against the Soviet
if-
Union in
if you listen-
Afghanistan?
if you listen to my
do you
point-
know? Do you know who he's? I'm asking you.
So you're
So it's the
pro-Soviet?
Soviet-
You know who
Are
financed
you
the
pro-Soviet?
Americans? Of
You're
course.
pro-atheist,
course,
are you?
no. So if
Surely
you listen,
the
so I know
war
what you're
against the
saying,
Soviet
yeah? I
communists
know what
is a
you're
I'm
holy
saying.
talking
war.
to him. I'm talking to him.
I
sorry.
Was
know-
the
we
war
can't have
against the
this
Soviets?
discussion.
Was the war
Excuse
against
me.
the Soviets a
No,
holy
no,
war if you're
no,
a Muslim?
it wasn't.
No,
it
it
wasn't.
wasn't.
It
So
was an
you're
American.
pro-Soviet.
It was an
You're
American war.
pro-atheist.
It was an American
You're
war
pro-atheist.
financed by
And this is the
Saudi
problem of the
Arabia
Middle East.
and the rich Gulf
Everything is
states.
the
You've
problem
just
of
mentioned
America.
Russia.
No, hold on,
Everything
hold on
is
a
the
minute.
What are the
problem of the
Russians doing in
Jew, and
Afghanistan
nothing is the
anyway?
problem of the Muslim.
But you know
That's
what?
the
He's
problem.
been deflecting now.
Sounds
Why he's
like a
saying that
colonialist,
Muslims are killing Muslims.
Project.
They are.
It doesn't mean
That's okay,
he's a
but
Muslim, but if he's a
that's
bad
very
person, I will kill him. I'm not going to let him bloody to terrorize me, would I? So
Yeah,
don't
and
even
here's the
talk
Middle East in the
rubbish now.
park.
Do you understand that?
Welcome to little
You keep
Algeria.
saying
Colonialism
Muslims killing
is
each
good
other.
for business.
Okay.
Terrorism is
Sir,
good
that's
for
the fact,
business.
So
sir.
instead of
Do you
moving
know what
towards
I mean?
peace,
Those are the facts, sir.
If he's a
Muslim
bad
is killing
person,
Muslim.
yeah, but if he's a bad one, I'm gonna have to deal with him.
Really?
Simple. Yes.
What about the rule of law?
Okay,
Doesn't mean
when
he's a
the
Muslim,
Tutsis-
and let him walk all over him.
What
What about
the courts?
what about the Rwandan
Shit.
war?
You
Who
don't
caused the
need courts when
Rwandan
you've been
war?
picking and taking
I'll give you an
over
example.
everything.
Mixing
I
up
give you an
science
example.
and Jew.
Rwandan war. Who financed the Rwandan war? No. It was the French. No,
You seem
the
to have
French
an obsession
financing the
with who
Tutsis
financed something
and the
rather than
and
taking
Belgium
a position on it.
financing the Hutus.
I'll tell you
2 million people.
I'll tell
it was
you-
France and Belgium because they have a lot of interest there.
I'll tell you when we
It's
have
money.
peace in the Middle East.
That's it.
That's
Same
when
as with Al
gentlemen like this
Qaeda,
brother
with the
here take
Mujahideen of
responsibility
Afghanistan,
for their own
with
actions.
Daesh.
I'll go and tell us who
A terrorist
financed Daesh.
organization
Yeah.
that helps
The
colonialism.
Israelis, they
That
take him
helped
to
Ameri-
hospitals when they get wounded.
There we go. It's the
Yeah.
Israelis.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the
It's Israelis,
The
obvious.
Israelis, the
Yes,
white people.
and I'll say
the
it
white
again,
people, the Israelis.
and I'll say it
The
again.
devils, these
They
white
taking
devils.
Daesh people
Could you tell the
into Israel to
man? Could you tell the man how many
hospitals?
Syrians
Do you
have
know
been
what I mean?
taken out of that conflict
It's
to
true.
Israeli hospitals?
Well, then you don't,
I
you
can
don't
actually
like
introduce
it.
him to the
Tough.
general or the commander. that
Anyone
was
says
responsible.
anything against
Syrians have been
Zionists,
taken out of Syria
he's
to go to
racist.
Israeli hospitals.
Get a grip.
Get a grip. Get
Yeah.
a grip. We
Come to reality.
come to reality.
Admit what you
the
know,
reality
what, you,
of
what
you
your
kick the
government
We don't
is
have problem
doing.
with Jews.
There-
We
there
don't
are
have problem
Jews.
with
No,
Jews. We have
no,
problem
no,
with
no.
Zionists.
So if
Zionists.
you
Have you
no
seen that
problem-
lady on
if
YouTube
you-
defending this Jewish man? Have you seen?
Yes,
It went viral.
yes.
Yes, we haven't got.
I also
problem
got a
with that.
video from the week
Zionists.
before.
Ah,
I've got a
see?
video from the
Which
week
good.
before
Yes, yes.
of Muslims in this country
Yes,
screaming
right.
death for Jews.
No, that's no.
Yeah,
No, that's wrong.
It's on my channel, Israel
That's
Advocacy
wrong.
Movement.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
trying
I
to
call
agree.
for
Why is it wrong?
Zionist. Hold on a minute.
Why is it
There's a
wrong?
difference between Zionism, which are the occupiers, and the Jewish people.
So can I ask a question?
Occupiers, I don't
Can I
think
ask?
so.
We all-
Zionism.
Israel was set up under international law. It was voted for by the United
who?
Nations. The Arabs
Who's the
didn't
United
accept
Nation?
it,
Who?
but
Who's
it's
the
a
United
fact.
Nation? Who's the United
Why?
Nation?
The Russians,
Who is the United
the
Nation?
Chinese,
When the
the
Israelis
Americans,
came,
and the
they
French.
started bombarding,
You
killing
don't
the
mention the
English.
Chinese
They
and the
killed
Russians because it's
Americans,
inconvenient for your
Come
argument.
on.
It's all a
Is
fraud.
that true as well?
It's all fraud.
Right, can I ask a
It's all a
question?
conspiracy.
I've got a quick question to make. Jews lived in the Middle East for thousands of years, yeah? Iraq, Iran.
And they're still in Morocco,
Yeah, so
in Egypt, in Tunisia, they're still.
So they keep on telling us how much they like the Jews and how we're their cousins. There was 1 million of us living in the Arab world.
I don't like Jews. I
Yes,
don't.
you don't like them, I know.
No. I don't. I respect. I mean, I don't have to like
Freudian
you.
sleep.
No, respect you. I don't have to like you. I don't
Okay,
have to like you,
fine,
do
right.
I?
But there
I don't
were
have
1
to like
million Jews living in in non-Jewish countries in the Middle East. Today, there are 3,000. There are more Jews in Bournemouth Synagogue than there are in the entire Arab world. No, they were slaughtered. Their synagogues were
forced out of many
burned. They were
Do you know
killed.
what?
I know we all.
Go and find out what happened to the
Netanyahu,
Jewish
when he took
community
over,
in
this is like about 10,
Egypt.
5 years ago. Do you know how many people that he called
Yeah,
to come to Israel for a better life from Morocco? They all went there and they all came back. They all came back.
I'm
He was
talking
calling
recently,
people
I'm
from
talking like the last
France,
60, 70
all the
years.
Zionists. He was calling them. He goes, "Come to Israel. We have a better life. You get home." They have nothing. You got rubbish. No, because I get vexed when I hear people
The
lie.
Do you know the only community where Christians are thriving in the Middle East today?
That's okay.
The Jewish
You can-
state.
Okay,
It's the
fine.
only
Well,
country
you
where
can-
Christians are
I
thriving.
can hear you
Egyptian
quite well, and so
communities
can he.
fled.
Okay, well, go ahead. You don't
Bethlehem,
need
one of the most
Christianity
Christian
away.
cities in the world, and the
We'll make
Palestinian
room for you.
Authority is down to 2% Christian. The Christian communities in the Middle East are being decimated.
Yeah.
The only place that's
Decimated
alive.
by
the
the
only
By
place-
the Israel.
Where?
By the Israelis.
Whoa, 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 yeah, whoa, 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 whoa.
10 million
Iran.
in Egypt.
Yeah.
Iran.
10 oh, you're a liar. There are 10
Iraq.
million
Iran.
I'm gonna bring you a video
Christians
what
in
Christian
Egypt.
Christians
In
say.
Egypt.
The
Where
Romanians,
is the
the Greeks,
persecution?
what they go
And they've
through
been there
by
for
the
hundreds of
Israelis.
years, nearly 1,000 years
Right,
more.
so
Do you
you
understand?
love the
I am
faith.
telling you.
And Iraq.
I'll bring you videos. There's apartheid.
Yeah.
Big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, hold on.
The most apartheid country.
There must
This
be
is-
a,
oh, let-
there
let-
must be a police guard in front
Yeah.
of a Christian church in Egypt.
They have a 24-hour.
So let's agree on
Who
something.
was bombing? Who was bombing the Christians in
The
Egypt?
Muslims do.
No, it was the Sisi. No, it's Sisi government. Yes, it's Al Sisi to create that fear. It's yes, Al Sisi.
It's always someone.
Yes,
So you
backed
want
by
to
never
Israel.
the
replace Sisi with
Islamists.
what?
Of course.
You want to replace
Of
Sisi
course.
with a democratic
Who
government? or
bombed
Muslim
the
Brotherhood?
Russian plane? Who bombed the Russian plane?
What's the alternative to
Who bombed the
Sisi?
Russian plane?
What's the
Wasn't it
alternative
Sisi?
to Sisi? A
No,
democratic
wasn't it
government
Sisi?
or the Muslim Brotherhood?
Yemen?
What do you want?
Yemen,
Democratic
Iraq,
government or the Muslim